Alright, today's the day we get some new tires on here. Taking all 8 off and getting them replaced with a set of new rubber here. So I'm just gonna set up the camera here when I take this set off. It's a fairly simple procedure. Basically, this is an 1.5-inch nut that's threaded on a stud. That is a hollow stud that's threaded on a smaller stud, which is mounted into the hub. So you'll get a pretty good idea of what that looks like here in a second. We take this one, which is a square socket, and we'll pull off the studs. Alright, so here I'm putting on the last inner wheel. It's an ugly steel one because I didn't want to change the studs to put aluminum inners in, because that's a lot of work. So what I'm doing is I'm slowly centering my wheel. If you'll notice that these studs, which is the hollow outer stud, has a bevel out here, and it is the same size as the hole in this rim, which is much bigger than the actual stud. And as you tighten it on, which I like to do all of this stuff by hand, it takes a lot of time, but I like to get it right. And then when you thread them on, you will get it snug. It won't quite be centered because the bevel will be riding a bit high on the rim, and then you'll wiggle the rim and it'll get closer to center and allow your bevel to go farther into the rim. So I've already basically got it centered with these two side ones. I'm just running down the rest of the studs fairly far by hand, and then I'll probably put the impact on just to snug them up. I'm using a small impact because I don't want to get these over 300 foot-pounds, because I want to torque them by hand to that. So I'll use a small impact which gets them fairly close to about within a quarter or half a turn of being torqued. Then I'll go around, snug them up, and then we'll get the next tire on. The other reason I do them a lot by hand is because I don't want the outer stud to bind on the inner stud and then drive that stud into the brakes. I want to make sure that this outer stud is going to turn smoothly on the inner stud. And then we have this little nylon shield here, which is to protect the steel rim from causing the aluminum rim to corrode. There. Alright, now you can see this, which is the outer nut. It has a pretty aggressive bevel on it. And it's the same idea. The rim here has a bevel, and you just want to use these to center the rim around the stud. That's why these are called stud pilot, because the stud centers the wheel. I do have a wee bit of never sees on these outer studs, which technically they say you're not supposed to do because the never sees can corrode aluminum, but it's just the way that I do it. We're just going to lube it up a wee bit. Alright, I've got two started here, and the wheel centered. I didn't show torquing the studs. It's fairly straightforward. Just torque them down. And we'll just throw the rest of these on. And all of this hardware is stamped with a right or a left to let you know if it's right or left hand thread. Alright, we're pretty much done here. I'm sorry I didn't film the entire process here, but I didn't want it to get too boring, and there was other people working around me, so I try not to video when there's other folks around. But we got it done. There's 80 things to torque. Every tire is 10 because you torque the inside studs and then you torque the nut on the outside, so everything you're torquing 80 things. It's a bit of a process, and I'll have to retorque here so I don't have my nut covers on. I'll put my hub covers back on, but not the nut covers. So pretty happy to get new rubber on here. My old tires were getting pretty scary looking. It was time for new tires. So I wanted to go with something brand new because it's coming out of the fields and stuff, especially if it's in the winter time, it's a little bit muddy. I wouldn't have had a chance with my old tires, but I got these. They're not the most expensive tire on the market, but I'm not putting a lot of miles on this truck, so I wasn't into the fancy tires or really how long they'll wear. It was more about getting good tread for not a lot of money, and they treated me really good on these. I'm pretty impressed. I wanted something with a good bit of tread but not an open shoulder, so they will look nice from the side. They don't look like a dump truck tire, but they've got a good bit of grip on there. So now that this is done, I still have the steering box to redo and a lot of brake lines that need replaced. Pretty much every brake line on the truck, or as much as I can get at, I will do. They're not all that bad. There's a couple that are, but I'm just going to replace pretty much anything that looks aged at all, just for peace of mind, and I might as well do it while I'm doing some. I might as well do all of them. So that'll be the next little project here. Just pulled it out and washed all the oil off, put my tire shine on, the stuff I use, which is a little bit painfully expensive, but this is it here. If you can get your hands on it, works really good. Lasts for a long time. Cost me about $100 a gallon last time I was in there, so that stings. It's not like they're paying me to tell you it's any good. It's just the stuff I use, and that's the stuff I like. So I haven't really tested many out other than cheap stuff like Armor All, and that doesn't work worth anything. The good thing about the Renegade stuff that I use is that if your tires aren't perfectly clean, they'll still soak in and make the tire look good. The other stuff, the Armor All I tried, if there was any dirt at all in the tire, or if the tire wasn't brand new, it just did not shine. But even with my old tires, that Renegade stuff would make them look pretty black. So they're still a bit wet here. Anyway, that's the program. It's looking pretty good tonight. Thanks for watching.